Greetings from AthenaVision Studios, and welcome to our 10th episode of Parthenon Particles. I'm Lieutenant Commander Joseph Fugate, back from a brief hiatus and returning to the role of your host. Our special guest for this episode will be Specialist Jason Chuang from the Athena's Medical Department. In Star Trek news, late on the night of September 24th, William Shatner was rushed to the hospital after a medical emergency. The next morning, his representatives denied reports that he had been admitted to the hospital, clarifying that he had low blood sugar. The 94-year-old legend himself explained on X that he overindulged and thanked fans for caring, but assured everyone that he is perfectly fine. A representative joked he doesn't have time to be sick, as evidenced by the fact that he won't be missing any public appearances. Zachary Quinto, while touring the talk show circuit to promote his new NBC show Brilliant Minds, has revealed that he feels it's time to return to his Spock role. Speaking on CBS's Today and The Late Show with Jimmy Fallon, Quinto says he's spoken to J.J. Abrams about it and that there's always a possibility, going on to say, "We need to lock it down and clear our schedules." Note that it's been nearly a decade since Star Trek Beyond was in theaters. For collectible card game players, you may be pleased to know that a Star Trek version of Magic the Gathering has been announced. The set, which will feature elements from the entire Star Trek franchise, is expected to be available this November 2026. In another big licensing announcement, Star Trek is coming to the world's biggest and most popular toy brand, Lego. A preview animation has been released, mostly of a Captain Picard minifigure, which would lead us to believe that the first release may be of the next generation, but it's very likely that in the end we should expect sets from all series. Nothing is known about precisely when we'll see these sets, as current promotional materials only say soon. Coming in-person events for the Athena crew include a Halloween viewing party on Saturday, October 4th at 6 p.m. Central Time at the home of Athena officer Derek Martin. This is a combined event with Derek's movie group, so seating will be limited. It will feature original television shows written by novel author Robert Bloch, including the Star Trek Original Series episode Wolf in the Fold. For more information, see the event invitation on Athena's private membership Facebook page. There will be a Halloween party at the home of Athena officers Jeremy and Miranda Manning in Murfreesboro on Sunday, October 19th at 2 p.m. Central Time. This potluck lunch will also be a combined event with Starfleet International Fan Club, the Werner von Braun of Huntsville, Alabama. It is not exclusive, so your friends and family are welcome to attend. As usual, for more information, look for the invitation on our private membership Facebook page. Please join us for the annual Light the Nights charity walk in memory of Fleet Captain Peck's brother, Billy, who passed away from leukemia at age 26. This is a public event at First Horizon Stadium in downtown Nashville. If you can't attend, please consider donating online via the link in the description of this video. Recently added to the schedule is a new event type for the Athena, an IDIC dinner. These dinners will focus on foreign foods, and the first one, in line with our ship's Hellenic theme, will be at the Grecian Family Restaurant and Bakery in Spring Hill on Saturday, November 1st at 5 p.m. Central Time. On Thanksgiving weekend, the Starbase Indy convention is held in Indianapolis. This event is where Starfleet Command has its annual membership meeting to discuss all that matters about the organization. Awards are also handed out. The Athena was awarded Large Starship of the Year at this last meeting and was the fleet's flagship for a few years in a row prior to that. For more and to purchase a badge for the convention, see the link in the description. Finally, look for invitations on Facebook in the coming weeks to our online Zoom events, the Allen Odyssey Lounge, and Trek Trivia. Now, let's get to our guest. Hello, Jason, and welcome to Parthenon Particles. I'm glad that you could be a part of our program.
Appreciate the invite. Hopefully, I'll mind talking to you guys about stuff about me, and and hopefully other people who've never met me before could get to learn a bit more about me as well.
Okay. Uh, well, tell me some about yourself.
I'm from Alabama. I was born and raised in Montgomery, Alabama. So I was there. Um, my parents are from Taiwan, so they kind of they back in the day they didn't know where to pick, so they kind of somehow picked Alabama there. And anyway, so I have like I said, I have an older brother here and there. I grew up mostly in Montgomery, lived a little bit in Birmingham, Alabama, and some in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, and now I live in Hendersonville, Tennessee, nearby Nashville. So I'm up there. I'm up here because of my girlfriend. I'm with my girlfriend, but she's not a very doesn't like to be on camera much, and she's more likes to be more, if you can understand that. She's more
I
just likes to
understand.
be more behind the scene
Okay.
type of deal. So she
That's what I
said,
was going
"You
to
do it."
ask. I thought you had a girlfriend or a wife that was associated with the Athena too.
Yeah, she is. She just doesn't like to be. She hates these kinds of things. And I've done podcasts before in other places before, so I mean, it's not a big deal for me. So I don't mind. And and of course, stuff like this, um, I know it sounds silly, but when you've done a lot of job interviews and things like on Zoom or Teams or whatever, you kind of get used. Not say fully used to it, but you kind of get used to doing these types of things. So you don't always feel like you're. Hopefully, I'm not go totally stuttering, but I may stutter from time to time.
That's okay. Uh, how did you come to Star Trek? How did what's your experience? What how'd you come about liking Star Trek?
It's really hard. I can't exactly remember how I got into it per se. I think my brother was watching it one day, and I just kind of follow him. And I have an older brother, and depending how some people are, some older siblings, you just kind of when you're younger, you're more the younger sibling. You want to gravitate toward your older sibling or something. So I kind of was gravitating towards him for a bit, and I kind of got into Star Trek that way, and just kind of watched. We remember watching. I think Rich and the Rich. I remember watching the original growing up, and of course it came up way before I was born, and then just seeing all the reruns of the original series, and then of course the movies came about, and then I think one of the earliest movies I can recall is that I somehow asked my father. We went to go see Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan, and it was a small theater, and I remember just seeing it. And I was just, as a kid, I was so amazed by stuff like that. I was like that, and like science fiction in general, that and Star Wars and other. I can try to think of other stuff early. I can't think of what top right. But other, whatever the miscellaneous '80s and science and fantasy stuff that are all coming out during that time frame, during the '80s and things like that, just kind of got me into just liking Star Trek. It.
Well, a fair amount of people do come to enjoy the series because of family, because of another family member watches it, and so that is typical. Do you have a favorite series?
I think I lean towards more towards I like DS9 because it's more the second half of DS9 was really good. I mean, I feel like the first like with Next Generation, DS Deep Space Nine and Voyager, they kind of have that first few seasons of kind of figuring out, getting their feet wet, trying to figure how they want to write the stories and And I think around between season 4 and 5 is, and I think around that time is when you kind of just figure out how they want to, become more of a, I guess the term I like to use, a well-oiled machine. We'll see it like that way.
Okay.
But Deep Space Nine is probably my favorite. It was just, I guess, it was just different because one, because Avery Brooks, the first time you see like a Black American just to be the captain,
Huh.
of a starship was pretty neat. Then, and his son, and it's kind of interesting how his family, like how his character lost his wife, and he was being a single father. So, not that I've gone through that, but I just think it's interesting to see something to where some of these characters I feel like you saw a little bit more flaws, I guess, or more kind of flaw. I wouldn't say, or human, I guess you'd say, of these characters. You could say of the issues they all going through. And nothing against. I love the Next Generation as well, but it's just certain things about them. I feel like all those different characters, like with Odo and Quark and Kira and all them, all the different issues that they weigh those characters, how I feel like is with Deep Space Nine and things like that. And then I feel like with Next Generation, it's like it almost was like, not to say it was perfect, but it had their characters seem a little bit more, I guess, more grounded, or more, not as much as issues in the beginning as I thought of them in the beginning of those series, I guess you'd say.
Okay. A favorite character?
Oh man, there's too many I like.
I get that.
There's so many to look.
I tend to like doctors. I don't
I
think
like
there's a doctor I've ever disliked.
no, I like them all. I don't know. So for all right. So TNG, I have to say, I don't know. I like Data just for his fact, how he's trying to become more at. For Deep Space Nine, I'd say probably Odo, and for Voyager, I'd say um, ooh, probably the Doctor, probably the Doctor on that one. I'd say
Okay.
the Doc that one, and even with Enterprise, I have to say Phlox. Oh, Phlox is one of my favorite characters. I thought was unique in Enterprise as well. Though of course I know a lot of people don't have care for much. I know there's a lot of fans who don't not a big fan of Enterprise as well, but I
Yeah,
enjoyed Enterprise for what it was.
same here. Okay. How did you uh come to join Starfleet Command and the Athena?
I would just be I was randomly like I would go to different conventions and stuff, and I'd run into Ryan and Kathy a handful of times on and off. We'd run into each other on and off and things like that. Because I was more with I was with another group because I was more with a friends of ours. As much I am a Star Trek fan, but I'd say I'll lean more towards Doc 2 because I'm more of a Doc 2 fan that way. But they kind of came up to me, started talking about the Athena and things like that, and I never really been with the Star Trek crew. I was like, oh, this is interesting. I think this is different. I'll see what it's like being with these guys and things like that, and talk about Star Trek. I'm not as there's some people I'm sure way more have that Wikipedia knowledge of Star Trek than I do. I know a pretty good decent amount, but not like I don't not good like with certain minute details with all the different series and movie and things like that. But I can give you a good generalization about most of the characters and things like that, and what certain storylines I can remember from the series, and which of the movies I enjoyed, Star Trek movies I had enjoyed, and things like that we discussed, and all that things we like the things like think discussed when I was joining the Athenas about, or even with other people, how we always was. I'm going to deviate for a second. How we always were talking about when Deep Space Nine and Voyager. Deep Space Nine had just ended, and Voyager was on, and that the Next Generation movies that came out about, and that how come I always kept talking about. It's like, man, shouldn't they, I feel like they should make like a trilogy movie or something to somehow have like a crossover movie with to all three, TV series, make a movie out of it, and have all the different characters from all three series, merged in together for some type of conflict they have to be all in it together for some reason. Of course, it never happened, and we always would talk about
Uh,
stuff like, but a bunch of these what ifs happened, things like that, because we thought the 2000s, the early 2000s would have been a great time for all three of them, because they
Yeah,
were
we
still kind
never
of hyped at the time. At the time, I
never
thought of it.
did never did see. I'm trying to think. We never did see any Deep Space Nine characters in any of the movies, did we?
Just Worf.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah.
I mean, well, though technically it came from Next Generation, but yeah.
Yeah, but they had to squeeze him in though somehow
Yeah,
to all four
yeah.
movies. In fact, it's kind of funny how in the third movie, in Insurrection, when uh they're headed to Picard and crew are and yeah are headed toward 10 forward for that banquet with the
Hmm.
new race that they were inviting into the Federation.
Oh,
They
yeah.
come across Worf, and Picard asks him, Worf, what the hell are you doing here? And there's just another discussion that kind of runs over his excuse for why he's there. So, and then of course, by the time the fourth movie came, uh, Deep Space Nine was over, and so we could assume that he went back to the Enterprise, I suppose. So,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, I was trying to think. I don't think any original character from DS9 was in any of the movies. Now we had Admiral Janeway in Nemesis and the Doctor in First Contact, and
Hmm.
then Ethan Phillips kind of slyly got in there, being on the holodeck in First Contact. I don't
Oh
know if you
yeah,
knew
I
that
forgot.
when
I'd forgotten about that one. That's yeah,
yeah, when
yeah,
Picard and Lily enter the holodeck, he's the bouncer uh, that they speak to, and that's yeah Ethan Phillips who played Neelix. So anyway, huh? What do you like best about being a part of the Athena?
just the different people, different types of people, just to see different stuff and just talk about like Star Trek stuff and because um, I don't know. I'm just with a lot of the newer Star Trek. Nothing against the series, just that everything is now putting on streaming and everything. It's just harder to get into those stuff. I feel like it. I mean, I guess I'm kind of that old school. I loved it when it was on, even though it's like syndicated television. You can find time to find it and watch it. And you'd set time or get your VCR, or if you had the DVR at that time, you can DVR those shows and stuff. I mean, you're streaming, but it's just that um, just paying that extra amount of money for everything else we got to deal with in life. I'm just like, I don't know. I have the money to pay for this streaming service to go check out all the Star Trek stuff. I would love, because we've seen a few of the newest stuff, but we just haven't had time to see, everything. I've seen clip bits and pieces of it and things like that. Like we've only seen like the first season of Star Trek Discovery. We've seen most
Yeah.
of the Strangers World, except only the first two episodes of this current season they just recently did. They released it, but I don't know, get a chance to see that up. And so I know we're behind on it. We're so behind in so much Star Trek stuff. And um,
You're not the only one.
I
I
just,
am too.
it's just so much out there too as well. So, but I guess I just enjoy being with it, just to see different people, just show me stuff about Star Trek I'm not aware of as well. I think that's what's unique about the club, just to see more of what's out there in the world, and just see how Star Trek. I think it's interesting how Star Trek also does impact in your in your personal, maybe in your personal and your work life as well, as how it can um kind of dictate in my mind. It's how I see it. How it affects how positively could it affect you, either anybody who likes Star Trek, and how it goes about their day-to-day lives, things like that is the way I see it.
You should attend our online Trek uh, events.
Okay.
Ryan Ryan often tells me how he learns stuff just by attending that. You don't have to know all the answers or anything. You don't even have to know some of the answers sometimes, as Ryan says. It's just fun to attend and learn something.
I'll have
So,
to yeah, make some time to do that as well. I have to make some time to get to do that as well. Just how life is sometimes. I'll just leave it like that. Life happens and schedule conflicts happen and things like that happen. So, but I will try to see what I can do. That I would love to try to get there. It'd be cool just to attend, just to see what it's like, just to see it out there, to like you said, have fun with it, enjoy it, enjoy your time there.
they only usually last around an hour, so it's not
Okay,
a lot of your time. So we'd like to see
gotcha.
Dana too.
All right, I'll try to get her on there from time to time. I'll try to grab her as well.
um, and as for it's kind of the same for me. Your answer about what you enjoy most about the Athena. I enjoy the friendships.
Right.
In fact, that's why what drew me to the Athena was I had moved to Nashville to live with a friend, and I realized after a year there that the only friends I really had was him and he's a teacher and his
Hmm.
colleagues, and those were really the only friends I had. So I thought about how years before I had been involved with a role playing Star Trek fan club and thought, I'm going to look for something like that here. There's got to be one in Nashville. And sure enough. So, though I've come to realize sometimes it's more about being in Starfleet Command than it is being on the Athena. So, anyway,
Oh, okay. I gotcha. I have to learn a little bit more about that down the line about it, but I was just, well, for now, just wanting to have fun and enjoy it. So there's stuff I'm sure I'd like to learn more later on about all the Starfleet Command stuff, behind the scenes stuff later on. I can ask you guys later about some questions about it down the line.
yes. Okay. Is there anything you'd like to talk about?
Um, I'm just trying to think. Any, I guess kind of like ask you, what kind of Star Trek stuff is your kind of ammo? What do you enjoy the most? The things that, what kind of s- storylines that you enjoyed or movies that you've enjoyed, or we can talk about some of the movies as well about, we enjoy of the Star Trek series movies that you liked.
Uh, huh. I'm more of a next generation Voyager kind of guy. It isn't that I dislike uh Deep Space Nine. In fact, I'm in the early parts of a rewatch right now of Deep Space Nine. I'm somewhere mid to late second season.
Oh, okay.
So
Gotcha.
I understand what you mean about the clunky beginnings and such, though.
Yeah, it
Uh,
just I have to do a rewatch of it as well. I just remember the first two or three seasons. It was just like this is kind of draggy for a while. It was like almost you plus you have more better memory than I do because you've seen recently. From what I
yes,
vaguely remember, it's very episodic. Is what I vaguely remember from the early
yeah,
seasons. And
yeah. It was
I
the
don't mind that. Go ahead.
first show to go with story arcs toward the end,
Okay.
especially the Dominion War.
Yeah. 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 Though I don't know. Uh, I don't know how you are about like all the Star Trek series, but I always feel like how these finales they're just kind of I don't know. I always think about from Next Generation to through Enterprise. I feel like all these finales is kind of I just felt kind of I don't know felt so for some reason. I guess because when you watch that show for so long, I guess it's kind of hard to have a good kind of ending for that kind of show. So that show Limitless, that there were so many different things out there. Having a good ending to any of these series makes it kind of I don't know. Maybe it's just difficult to have an ending. Or well, I mean, I guess Voyager was an interesting ending, but I felt like it could have gone more than one. I felt like more than one episode. I thought the finale could have gone at least two or three episodes. They could have spread it out a little bit more, I thought, but I may be wrong, but they may even disagree. That's how I see it.
was a little disappointed with the very ending, with just the ships heading toward Earth, and that was all. We didn't see any.
Yeah.
The only real welcome we saw was in the first part of that episode. We see the ship flying over uh, the Golden Gate Bridge and the fireworks going off, and that's what we know about their return. What happened once they got back to Earth.
Hmm.
So I'd like to, yeah, seen more of that. Um,
Yeah, like you said, that ending just felt like kind of flat at the end. I just felt like you said it would have been nice to say they landed. How did the people react or something? Just kind of,
yes,
I don't know, just something to where them kind of reacclimating back on Earth, I guess you'd say.
I feel like some of their better parts with interaction with Earth came earlier in the series when, for instance, when the Doctor was able to go to the Prometheus uh, and meet the EMH Mark II, and
Hmm.
then when he returned to Voyager to tell them that, oh, I got to talk to Starfleet, and this is what I said, and this is what they said, and they had one message for you. You're not alone. I thought like that was very touching. And then the episode where uh, Reginald Barclay was trying so hard to contact them, and then once they finally had two-way communication, that was a lot more touching than the ending we got in the
Oh
final
yeah.
episode.
Yeah, definitely. Those are probably some of the best episodes of Voyager
Admiral
that last.
Paris talking to, or not really talking to his son, but he didn't quite realize he was when he said, "Tell him I miss him and I'm proud of him." And then Janeway said, "He heard you." So I think that's very touching. So
Oh
anyway,
yeah. Yeah.
um, and as for movies, the sixth is my favorite, and I do. Let's see, I don't know that, and I really like Generations as the probably my favorite Next Generation movie. I First Contact is good, and I think Nemesis is better than people give it credit for.
I have
But
to
I
do
do
a
like,
rewatch for Nemesis. I have to do a rewatch of Nemesis because yeah, I was kind of most people. I didn't dislike it, but I didn't love it either. I was kind of in that middle, type of feeling for it.
and I do like the J.J. Abrams movies. In fact, I could watch the first one, the
Hmm.
2009 film, over or not over and over, but I could watch it a few times a year and never be bored with it.
Oh
So
yeah, I like that one, and I really like, probably in the minorities. I really like Star Trek Beyond a lot. That was one of my favorite ones of the three. I mean, the
the
first one's
action's
really
good
good.
in
Don't get
that.
me. Yeah, and I just felt like the way it felt like Beyond Star Trek Beyond to me felt like it felt like watching like an old school Star Trek episode, like a TV movie in a sense. I know it's a movie, but like a movie, but almost like that kind of episodic. I mean that kind of episodic way in a way to where it was its own movie itself. It just was unique in itself and stuff like that, and made some interesting points of stuff that we were where or maybe that stuff I don't remember certain characters from the Star Trek lore that they had when they had brought in God, what is that guy's actor's name? That British actor that was the villain in Beyond. I'm drawing a blank right now. Um,
Oh, you're talking about Benedict Cumberbatch in Into Darkness?
no, no, the one from Beyond. My brain's drawing a blank right now. He's on that I don't know if you've seen that British TV show called Luther. But he's also, if you've seen the Suicide Squad, he was also there in the second Suicide Squad movie, and he's been
No.
in a bunch of. My brain's going a blank movie. I'm, I'm sure someone will put on the chat about my brain's having a blank. I'm having a brain fart right now about who it is. But anyway, he was really cool. He's a really cool British actor, stuff like that. He's done a variety of different movies and stuff like that. And this black British actor, and um, he's recently done this commercial
Idris
called
Elba?
Service Now. Idris Elba,
It,
yes, Idris Elba. I just
okay.
really liked about his character. about how how he was human, then I guess later got transformed into that little other alien
Yeah.
species and things like that as well. I thought was really unique thing. And I guess the other thing I liked about Beyond it, it even though it's in that same universe, but it kind of just had its own its own little story, all self-contained story in it as well, to where you can just watch that movie as is, and have to know everything about Star Trek and stuff like that. I just thought was really good, a good movie that unfortunately just didn't get a lot of the um. I guess it do on the box office well enough to do more Star Trek, but also I think at the same time, during right before the movie came out, Anton Yelchin had passed away, I think, right before the
Yes.
movie had come out. So that kind of also put a bleaker thing to make another one down the line. So
I get the impression that some of the problem with the fourth movie is that all these actors that were in it now are becoming big names, and as such, not they don't demand bigger
mhm.
paychecks, but uh, they deserve bigger paychecks.
Oh
So,
yeah,
and that's a problem
definitely.
for the studio in making another movie. So,
But before
uh,
much,
that's
in terms of the
that's
Star Trek, go ahead. Sorry.
that's something that I'm going to cover. You'll see in this episode. I am going to cover that recently. Zachary Quinto has come out talking about his desire for them to get started on a fourth movie. That now's the time. So,
I think they've
anyway,
also different stuff. I don't know how true it is. I've read different stories about they've had a lot of back and forth of storylines, and they can't agree upon a good storyline for the next Star Trek movie is what I've been hearing. Because they've been
okay,
stuck in this whole idea about the time travel thing to bring back Chris Hemsworth, back as
yes,
Kirk's father.
George Kirk,
I've heard that. Yeah, to bring him back in to just do it and stuff like that. I don't know what other. I've heard different stories online, so like I said, hard to say
yes,
what's true or not true anymore. But that's another one of my. That's one of my, like you said earlier about Star Trek. That's one of my favorite ones, and also I like Star Trek 4, The Voyage Home is one of my favorite ones as well. It was just kind of funny. It was like it's some funny movie, I guess you'd say. I mean, it was unique and everything. Had to do a time travel to where, it wasn't really a Star Trek, but I don't know. It's almost like, as bad as me saying, almost like a Star Trek on a mini budget for a movie in a sense, because they didn't use many like special effects and stuff for that type of movie.
I enjoyed it in my youth. And it was the one that seemed to get the most play uh on national television. So I'm kind of over that movie, and that I've seen it so many times, and yeah. So now
I need
my
to go back. I need to go back and watch Star Trek 5 because I only remember watching it once or twice, and I need to go back to see if it's really as bad as everyone says it was. I just can't remember. I remember I didn't when I first saw it, I didn't like it either. So I need to go back and maybe there may be some redeeming qualities of it or not.
okay, yeah. It's it's got its boring moments, that's for sure. I remember in my youth fast forwarding through the scenes where Cybok uh with Dr. McCoy and Spock, and then trying to get Kirk to reveal his pain, and I I think that's the most boring part of that film. And then going through uh the Great Barrier and such. I don't care for the Klingons in it. So anyway, um, I think the reason I liked Star Trek Six the most, though, is because they used a lot of the sets and stuff from the Next Generation, and because of that, it felt more like 24th century Trek. It seemed like the technology was starting to get better there. So, and it's
Oh
not a
yeah.
bad story.
Oh no. I think six is a great ending for that whole crew. It really, I thought, really
Yes.
ended really well and stuff like that as well. And I know that George Takei had always wanted to do like a Star Trek series with his character as captain on. I'm drawing a blank on the ship he had, but on his ship,
The
I've heard
Excelsior.
Excelsior and stuff like that would have. I think that would have been a unique Star Trek series as well. But
The
you know,
I mentioned earlier that I was part of another organization in my youth.
hmm
That organization was very involved in trying to help get, it was called the International Federation of Trekkers, and they were
okay,
very involved in trying to get George Takei an Excelsior television series. So I'm familiar with what you're talking about there. So
oh, okay. It would have been interesting if they would have done that, stuff like that as
yes,
well.
I agree.
There's just so much, there's so much stuff in that Trek during that time period that, you know, it could have if things had if the cards had fallen in our as fans ways, man, we would have had way even more Star Trek stuff than we have it right now. Is the way I see it. If we had certain things that happen our way, it would have been
Yes.
so cool to know that is.
Okay, well, that's all I've got. So, Specialist Jason Chuang, I appreciate you again joining us and look forward to seeing you again in the future.
Likewise as well. Likewise, hope we'll catch up and be able to catch up in person again in the near future as well.
Yeah. I don't know. I remember the first time I met you was at our bowling experience. I think you and I, as a matter of fact, were the high scorers in that.
Oh, I don't remember. That's pretty good to remember that stuff. I did it and I was like, I was enjoying it for what it was, just the camaraderie and talk to people. It was cool. It's
Yes.
cool as they said.
We were on opposite teams. So
Oh, okay. We'll have to
anyway,
do that again. Maybe we'll do that again down the line. We'll have another bowling get together and we can go see who gets number one.
we'll see what happens. I don't know if you realize, but I live in Ohio now, so I'm mostly unable to attend in-person stuff with the Athena
Right,
now. So
right.
okay.
I gotcha. I gotcha. I
Well,
just was gonna say I don't know if we will get up there, but I don't know if you're able. Well, we're trying to go. We won't be able to go this year, but maybe in the future we can go to that Star Trek convention up in Indianapolis.
Starbase Indy.
Yeah, Starbase
That's
Indy.
over
Maybe one day we
Thanksgiving
can.
weekend.
Yeah, maybe one year we can meet in person out there as well.
Yes. I think I may have seen you at other get-togethers too, though. So okay.
Okay. All right.
Well,
Well, it's good to catch up with you again, and
yes, it was.
appreciate everyone else on this that enjoyed the video as well. Hopefully they enjoyed as well.
Yes. Thank you again. Goodbye.
Bye. Goodbye. Thank you.
Once more, thank you, Jason, for joining us on Parthenon Particles. And as always, I'd like to thank you, the viewer, for watching our program and being a part of Starfleet Command and the USS Athena. If you aren't a member and would like to be, look for a link to join Starfleet Command in this video's description. Again, my name is Joseph Fugate, and I'll see you soon in another AthenaVision.